If you are going to Japan, one of the most common questions is, how easy is it to get around? In this video, I'm going to share with you my real-world experiences with getting around Japan, from the good, the bad, and the things you definitely should avoid. Let's go to Japan.
The next station is Tokyo.
Hey guys, Hoang here, and today we are going to talk about getting around Japan. If you are planning your first trip to Japan, this may be one of the biggest questions you may have, and it can be a stressful one. So let's dive into it and walk through how to get around in Japan. Speaking of walking, cities in Japan are very walkable. You will most likely do a lot of walking while you're in Japan, and being prepared by having good walking shoes is a must. My mom went with me on 2 of my recent Japan trips, and the first time she had an older pair of regular sneakers, and after 2 weeks in Japan, her feet were sore and she was barely keeping up with our average of 20,000 steps per day. The next time she went, she bought a new pair of Hokas, and on that trip, I planned to tone it down to around 15,000 steps per day, but her feet were not sore at all. In fact, she was the one who was pushing me to go and see more, and we actually ended up averaging 24,000 steps per day on that trip. So shoes help. That's the conclusion. On my previous Japan trips, I have worn my on-cloud surfer shoes, but recently I have switched to the Hoka Bondi 9 shoes, and they are super comfortable. The main reason for the switch is that my on shoes were starting to squeak a lot when they got wet in the rain, and while I still love the shoes, it is quite annoying to be walking around with squeaking shoes for over 20,000 steps. I even tried the trick that I saw online of spraying the bottoms with WD-40, and that did work, but only for a few weeks or so until the squeak comes back. So on my next Japan trip, I will be wearing these Hokas and we'll see how it goes, but I'm already starting to wear them now and they are quite comfortable. Alright, enough about walking. Let's dive into the best mode of transportation in Japan: trains. Let's first talk about the local trains if you are in a major city like Tokyo. I've mentioned this in my other videos, but typically I use Google Maps to get around, and it does a fairly good job of telling me which train lines to take. To use the train, you could buy a single-use train ticket at the kiosk by entering your destination in and paying with cash. You cannot pay with a credit card for these tickets. Buying train tickets also means that you will have to buy one at each station, and that takes up a lot of time if you are traveling a lot. And these tickets are being phased out as well. So alternatively and more conveniently, you can buy an IC card like this Suica card, which you can reload with cash at the kiosks at the station and use this to pay for train rides and many other things like at vending machines or convenience stores. It's very convenient to have, and I highly recommend getting one. You can only reload these cards with cash though, so keep that in mind. Additionally, one question I've been getting a lot in regards to these cards is if each person in your party needs to have one or if you can share. The answer is everybody needs to have their own card. To go through the ticket gate at the station, you will tap your card to go through, and when you exit, you will tap your card to get out. And that's how it calculates the ticket price based on which station you entered and which station you exited from. So you cannot enter and then reuse the same card to enter again without exiting, meaning you can't share cards. Some of the lines in Tokyo are starting to introduce tap to pay, so you don't need an IC card. Instead, you can pay directly with a credit card, but it's early on in its testing phase and isn't widespread yet. So for now, having an IC card is still the way to go. Now, moving on to actually taking the trains. When you enter a train station, you will find signs with the lines that the station contains, usually with the leftmost train line on the sign being the closest to the entrance that you are entering, meaning that if you are entering an entrance and the line that you are trying to take is on the left side of the sign, then odds are it is very close to where you are entering. But if you see 5 different lines and the line that you are trying to get to is the last one on the right, then that means that that line is the farthest from the entrance. The other thing to know about some of these stations is that they may be right next to adjacent stations with separate lines. So make sure that you are entering the right station entrance when you enter, so that you don't end up having to enter a station station and then leave because you entered the wrong one. Speaking of that real quick, if you enter a station and tap in with an IC card and then realize that you are in the wrong place and tap out to leave the station, the system doesn't like that and often won't let you out, and you will have to go to the station worker who will charge you a small pass-through fee to your card. It's kind of annoying, but to prevent this, double check before you tap into a station that it is the right one. Once you tap into the station, then you will make your way toward the train line that you are trying to go on. Google Maps will tell you which train line and which platform to go to, along with which train car to go and use for the most convenient exit at your destination. For the most part, this is what I look at when I look at the Google Maps directions: the color-coded line and the platform number. With this color code and the platform number combination, you can easily navigate the complex stations as you keep following signs to get toward the colored line that you want to go on and then the number for the platform. This can get a bit confusing at some of the larger stations like Shinjuku Station, which is the busiest train station in the world, but as long as you keep following the line colors and then the platform number, you'll eventually get to your destination. Once you are at the correct train platform, then you will get in line with the lines for the doors marked on the ground. Keep in mind that these markings will tell you other information such as the women's only train car, which is often indicated by pink signs on the ground. Once you are in line, you will then wait for your train, let the people exit when the train arrives, and make your way inside. There can be multiple train lines on the same platform, so make sure that you are entering the correct train. Also, there are sometimes express, limited express, and local trains, which are often marked on train displays and the station displays, so make sure that you are going to the right one. Google Maps will tell you which of these versions to take if there are multiple. The express trains only stop at major stops, while local trains typically stop at every single stop. This is why it is important that if Google Maps is telling you to take the train at 8:42 and you get there at 8:36, a few minutes early, and you see a train coming, then you'll want to double check it before hopping on, because you could end up on a local train which will stop at every single stop if you're trying to go a far distance, and that could add a lot of time to your trip, or vice versa. If you need to take a local train and you get on an express train, you may just end up missing your stop completely. The other thing you'll notice as you make your way around the train stations are the jingles that play, and they all indicate something, such as the direction of the train coming, which line it is, and if it's about to depart. The jingles are catchy, and honestly, one of my favorite parts about taking the trains is hearing these jingles. I'm running a free giveaway for some cool Japan train merch, so check this out. The second place winner will get this cool Tokyo Station keychain with the Kaien Tohoku line blue on one side and the Yamanote line green on the other. The first place winner will get this music player that plays the Yamanote line train jingle, and it is one of my favorite ways to relive Japan just by listening to it. It's so cool. This thing recharges via USB-C, and it is something that I know a lot of my viewers have wanted since I brought it up in one of my previous videos, so this is your chance to get one. All you need to do to enter the free drawing is to go to the Gleam giveaway link in the description below, and in 3 weeks on August 14th, it will randomly draw a first and second place winner, and I will reach out to them via email and send them their prize. Let me know in the comments below what other items from Japan you want as giveaways in the future. Now, back to the trains. When you are on the train, the front and back of the train car typically have reserved seating for people who may need it, such as elderly people. So it is respectful to keep those seats open for them or offer up your seat if you don't need it when someone else who does enters the train. If you are standing on the train, it is polite to wear your backpack in front of you so you don't hit people as you turn. Lastly, people are fairly quiet on trains, so you won't want to be having full-on conversations or laughing out loud with your group while on the train out of respect for everyone around you. Now, once you exit the train, you will make your way to the station exit, and in most stations, you will have to walk up or down some stairs to get to the exit, so be prepared to walk a lot. If you are carrying luggage, this part can be quite tiring, as many stairways don't have escalators, especially in these smaller stations, and finding an elevator often requires you to go very out of your way. And there are often long lines for these elevators as they are typically very small. Overall, taking the train is very convenient, especially in major cities in Japan, so definitely use the train network to get around. Just avoid rush hour if you don't like the crowds or are bringing luggage onto the trains, as during rush hour it will be very hard to maneuver with all the luggage on the train without inconveniencing a lot of people. The other train that we should cover is the one that you will use for long distance travel, and that is the Shinkansen, or the bullet train. To use the Shinkansen, you will need a separate Shinkansen ticket. You can get this from the Shinkansen kiosks. This can get kind of confusing, as this is where I see most tourists run into issues. To get a Shinkansen ticket, you will need to go to the kiosk and purchase a ticket to get from your location to your destination. Then it will ask you if you want to purchase a base fare ticket, and odds are you will want to purchase this base fare. A Shinkansen ticket consists of two things: the base fare, which is a ticket for the distance traveled, and an express ticket, which covers the speed and the seat if you are reserving a seat. It's confusing. I can't explain why, but it is what it is. It will also print out a receipt for you, which is the long piece of paper. Then you will take those two tickets and put them inside the ticket machine, and you can do that at the same time. The cool thing about these Shinkansen ticket machines is that you can actually put a whole stack of tickets in at once, and it will process them, figure out which ones you actually need, mark those, and send everything out to you at the end, all fairly quickly. I put in a stack of tickets into the machine, some for the Shinkansen I was about to take and some for my return trip later that day, and it processed all of it super quickly, and I was on my way without having to even think about which ticket was what or separating them. When you exit, you can do the same thing, and the machine will keep the used tickets and return any extra tickets to you. If you purchase a Shinkansen ticket online, you can also link it to your IC card and then use the IC card to enter and exit the same way you would at a regular train station. When you use your IC card for the Shinkansen, it will print out a paper receipt for you as you exit the machine, and this is just for your records. And when you exit, you will use your IC card once again to exit. Knowing all of this will save you a lot of time and headache, as many tourists get stuck trying to use their IC card to get into the Shinkansen area without having bought a Shinkansen ticket first, and the staff having to try to explain it to them, which leads to a lot of traffic at these gates. All in all, for the most part, having an IC card will help make your travels a lot easier on the trains, and there are separate Shinkansen tickets that you will need to take the Shinkansen. There have been quite a few times where I've gotten on the wrong train, sometimes getting on the express train where I've missed my stop before because it just doesn't stop there, or accidentally went on the train going the wrong direction, but that's just all part of the chaos of Japan. Most of this is due to being in a rush and trying to get on a train before it leaves. But if you're in a major city, the trains come pretty regularly, so take a second to figure out if this is the right train, and it's fine if you miss it and you have to wait for the next one, because usually it's only a few minutes, and that will save you the headache of getting on the wrong train and having to get off at the next station, switch trains, head back, all of that. Now, moving away from trains, the next thing is taxis. If you are taking taxis in Japan, most taxis in major cities take credit card along with IC cards and cash. To take a taxi, you can either flag one down, go to a taxi waiting area near major train stations or tourist attractions, or use an app like the Go Taxi app or Uber, which in Japan only books taxis for you. My best taxi experiences in Japan have been through the Go app. All of the Go taxi drivers that I've gotten have been extremely friendly and kind, especially when I have lots of suitcases or luggage, and they are also always super polite and sometimes even offer me great suggestions for things to do or places to go. Taking taxis in major cities like Tokyo, Osaka, or Kyoto is fairly easy, and there are an abundance of taxis everywhere. But if you are in a small town, you may have a hard time finding a taxi or even using the app at all. When I was in the Fuji Yoshida area and the Fuji City area, I couldn't even find a taxi using the Go Taxi app because it just said that there were just no taxis around, and I had to take either the local bus or use the Uber app to book a local taxi. And there are some cases where it was basically the opposite. In smaller or more rural cities, you may have a harder time finding a taxi, so you can have your hotel call a taxi for you if needed. But if you're going to smaller or more remote areas, it definitely helps to plan a little bit in advance so that you can have an idea of what you will need to take as far as transportation goes. Now, on the topic of buses, it can be a bit more complicated than what you may be used to. Depending on the area that you are in, you may enter the bus through the rear door or the front door. If you are in an area that has a flat fee for taking a bus like Tokyo, you will enter the bus through the front and pay or tap your IZ card when you enter. Then you will exit through the rear door when leaving. If you are in an area that doesn't have a flat fee, you will enter the rear door and either tap your IC card or get a paper ticket with the number printed on it, which is the stop number. Then when you want to get off, you signal to the driver by pressing the button on the wall and then going to the front where you can pay for the fare either by putting in exact change or tapping your IC card. If you don't have exact change, sometimes there is a change machine there as well. But having exact change can be the tricky part, especially if you are in a rural area and the buses don't take IC cards. But getting around, especially in rural areas, you can rent a bike. And Japan is a very bike-friendly country, so expect to see plenty of bikes around. Now, lastly is renting a car, and I personally don't have that much experience with this one as I haven't had the need to rent a car, but there are a few things that you will need to know. You do need an international driving permit to rent a car in Japan, so that is something that you will have to prepare for in advance before you leave. In big cities, you will not need to rent a car as public transportation is so extensive there. The best situations to rent a car is if you are going to off the beaten path locations in rural areas, but in my experience, I've been able to get pretty much everywhere I've wanted to go through public transportation and taxis. Also, they drive on the left side in Japan, and this is a big one, as very recently there were 2 fatal accidents due to tourists driving on the wrong side of the road. It's tough to adjust if you've been driving on the right side your whole life. In addition, the traffic signs are different in Japan, such as their upside down triangular stop signs, along with a lot of things being written in Japanese. So if you plan on renting a car, do your research beforehand and be prepared as it is not as straightforward as other countries. Getting around Japan can be a bit confusing, but once you get the hang of it, public transportation is fairly convenient and fun to take around. The trains in Japan, especially in major cities, are also extremely punctual, down to the second, which makes it easy to plan for. I personally love taking the trains in Japan, which is why the Jingles are such a great reminder of them. Don't forget to enter the giveaway and keep an eye out for plenty more giveaways in future videos. What are your favorite methods of transportation in Japan? Let me know in the comments section down below, and I will see you guys in the next one.